Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, picking up your phone, opening your banking app, and seeing zero. Not an error, not a glitch, just zero. You go to your neighbor, they have zero too. Your boss, zero. The richest person on the planet, zero. Overnight, money stopped existing. It didn't lose value, it didn't crash. It disappeared as an idea. The bills in your wallet are now just paper. The numbers in your accounts are just pixels that no longer mean anything. And this is where the most interesting part begins. Because most people think that in a world like this, the poor would be the first to die. That the survivors would be the ones who had supplies, gold, mansions. But it's the complete opposite. In a world without money, the very people you spent your whole life thinking were unsinkable would be the ones to collapse. And the people who start rising to the top would be the ones you never even noticed before. Today, we'll break down who would become poor in a single day, who would suddenly become the new elite, and most importantly, where you personally would end up in this new hierarchy. You probably won't like the answer. Let's start with those who would fall first, and that would be the billionaires. The very people on the Forbes lists whose fortunes are measured in tens of billions. Except if you look closely, almost all of their wealth isn't money, it's numbers. Company shares, business stakes, bonds, assets on a balance sheet. All of that only makes sense inside a system where there is a market, where there are buyers, where there is belief itself that a piece of paper called a share is worth something. Take away money, and this entire structure crumbles within hours. The stock exchange is dead. There is nothing to sell and no one to sell it to. Trillions of dollars turn into lines in a dead database. Now think about what the average billionaire can physically do. They know how to manage capital. They know how to negotiate, hire people, move numbers from one account to another. But in a world where accounts no longer exist, that skill is worth exactly nothing. They don't know how to grow food. They don't know how to fix a generator. They don't know how to stitch a wound. Their power always rested on one thing: the ability to pay others to do those things for them. Money disappears, and so does power. In one day, a rich person in a mansion turns into an ordinary, rather helpless human being sitting among expensive objects that no longer have any value. A gold faucet in the bathroom won't feed you. $100 million painting won't keep you warm in winter. And along with billionaires, an entire class of people collapses. People who lived inside the money system. Bankers, whose job was to move money around. Traders, who guessed where prices would go. Rentiers, who lived off interest and rent. Financial advisors, insurers, marketers, influencers selling ads. All of these professions exist only because money exists. They are the superstructure built on top of the real economy. And when the foundation disappears, the superstructure falls first. By the way, if you're already starting to feel uneasy about how fragile familiar wealth really is, hit the like button. That way this video will reach more people who think money is something unshakable. Now comes the most curious part. Who rises to the top? The new aristocracy becomes the people whom the old world valued rather low. Farmers are the first to rise. A person who knows how to grow food and raise livestock suddenly becomes more important than any banker, because without money, the only real currency is survival. And survival begins with a plate of food. A person with a field and seeds now holds in their hands something people are willing to work for, protect them for, and obey them for. Right behind them come doctors, real doctors, with hands and knowledge, not just a diploma on the wall. In a world where pharmacies have been looted and hospitals no longer function, a person who can deliver a baby, set a bone, and recognize an infection becomes literally worth their weight in life. Then come engineers and technicians, those who know how to obtain clean water, start a power plant, restore communication. And craftsmen, blacksmiths, carpenters, tailors, mechanics. All those professions we got used to seeing as simple and unprestigious suddenly turn out to be the foundation of the new world. Do you see the pattern? Value instantly flows away from those who knew how to own things and toward those who know how to do things. Before, we paid with money, and so we respected those who had more of it. But money was only an intermediary. It hid the real picture. And the real picture is simple. Society is not held together by those who move capital, but by those who produce food, heal, build, and repair. For decades, money merely disguised who is truly indispensable and who is not. But there are two more groups of people we can't forget. The first are those who remain more or less where they were, because their lives already depended very little on money. These are people living off subsistence farming somewhere deep in the countryside. For them, the collapse of the system is a mild shake-up, not the end of the world. But the second group is the most unsettling. These are the people who take power by force. When money disappears and the law weakens, people with weapons, organization, and a hard will rise to the surface. Security forces, former soldiers, gang leaders, charismatic figures who know how to lead a crowd. And very quickly, a new currency appears: protection. People are willing to give food and labor to whoever guarantees they won't be killed at night. This is how a new hierarchy is born out of chaos, and it often turns out to be far more brutal than the one that existed under money. And now the main question, the one this whole thought experiment was built around. Where would you end up in this new world? Take off, for a second, the mask that money gave you and ask yourself honestly, what can you do with your hands and your mind without a salary, without a card, without the internet? Can you grow food? Can you heal, repair, build, protect? If your profession exists only inside the money system, and most professions today do, then in a world without money, you start from zero, on the same level as yesterday's billionaire. And that is, in fact, a sobering thought. Write honestly in the comments, what skill would give you a chance in a world like that? I'm genuinely interested to read what people realize about themselves. The most uncomfortable part is this. This thought experiment isn't about the apocalypse. It's about today. Right now, money is hiding the real value of people from us. We pay huge sums to those who move numbers around, and pennies to those who grow our food and heal our bodies. We call some people successful, and others simple workers. But if you remove the thin film of money, this entire pyramid flips upside down. And maybe it's worth thinking about that not when money disappears, but while it still exists. So perhaps real wealth is not a number in an account that can be wiped out overnight. It's what you know how to do, what will stay with you under any scenario. And if this thought made you look at the familiar world a little differently, subscribe, because here we break down exactly these kinds of things, the things most people prefer not to notice. And I'll leave you with one question, one I don't have a clear answer to myself. If money really is just an illusion we all agreed to believe in, what will happen on the day too many people stop believing in it?